webinar series, Personalizing your page in Convio, which is our fundraising system. We also refer to it as a participant center. And hopefully you will all become a lot more familiar with that language as we get through this webinar. One thing I would recommend is if you have your rider handbook handy, you can definitely follow along. If you flip to the back, it has an easy checklist for you, and the third option, or sorry, the fourth line is to start fundraising. You go to page 18, so we'll start on page 18, and this is just something you can kind of reference as we go through the webinar. Great, so again, this is the second in a 5-part series. We'll be having one webinar every month for the next 3 months up to the Israel Ride. We're going to start this webinar by looking at some of the online tools we have and then going through them in a bit more detail and kind of showing you all the options we have available using our suite of fundraising tools. Again, as I mentioned, you can follow along in the Rider Handbook. It goes into a lot more detail about all of these tools, and it covers a lot more information, some of the things we'll be covering in future webinars. So that's always a good place to reference if you have any questions, or you can, as always, reach out to me personally. First, I just want to talk a little bit about why you would choose to use our fundraising system over just sending out your own personal emails. There's a lot of advantages, there's a lot of options that not every rider uses, but basically the idea is that it will help you track who you've sent solicitations to, who has followed up and actually donated on after you sent solicitations, and who hasn't and who needs a reminder. And then it will also tell you who's donated and who you have thanked, and if you haven't thanked them yet. And it's all in one easy to read, easy to use place. So you can obviously track all that stuff yourself if you would like to, and send all of your emails through your own personal system. But that will require a bit more kind of effort on your end to make sure that you're following up with all your donors, that you've sent out asks to the people that need to get them. And in general, if you need tech support or any help, it'll be, I'm still here, but it will be a bit harder for me if there are certain limitations to your personal system versus using our system. So I do highly recommend familiarizing yourself with Convio, reading through your rider handbook, and just kind of playing around with our website after this webinar, and you get a bit more familiar with the tools if you're not already. So here you can see kind of an overview of our ride a couple of years ago and kind of how our system was used. You can see from the pretty basic data that the more emails that get sent, the more money gets raised. It kind of can seem intimidating at first when you get into fundraising and you see these big numbers and you're wondering how can I do this? But reality is the more you ask, the more money you'll get, and we find that every rider on the Israel Ride is able to reach their minimum, and not only reach it but exceed it. So if you are ever struggling, or you are ever feeling intimidated, or like you need a little help, please call me, shoot me an email, and I'm more than happy to help you on a more personal basis. So let's move on. This is just kind of an overview of what your personal page looks like to your donors. So this is different than what you'll see when you're doing it, but everyone currently has a public fundraising page hosted on israelride.org. You can get there by going to israelride.org/sponsor, or clicking for donors and then clicking sponsor a rider. And then if you select your name or another rider's name on the rider list, you will get to this page, which is a personal page. This is a sample page from a rider last year, which we adapted to show this year. So you will notice a couple of slight design element changes throughout this presentation, but it will correlate exactly to what you're seeing on your computer. And again, if you are confused ever, feel free to reach out to me. But as you can see, there's an orange Donate Now button in the top right of everyone's personal page. That is where you will direct your donors that want to donate to your ride. And do accept online donations through credit card. If your riders are interested in donating through check, cash, that is acceptable as well. However, it will not be able to be done online. They'll have to give that check to you, made out to Friends of the Arbat Institute. Again, if you do have any questions about that, just email me and we can provide more specific information. This is where we'll start once we get into the meat of this presentation. But basically, there are 3 different elements to this personal page that you can customize in our fundraising system. And this is in addition to the email system that is also hosted in the Participant Center. So there are a few different elements of, but if you choose to use your own email system for solicitations, it would still be good to focus on this part of the webinar that references your personal page and customizing that, because you'll still want to send your donors to your personal page to make any online donations. So it would still be good to customize that so that they know that they're at the right place. And lastly, this is just a sample solicitation email. This is also available on our website and through the Participant Center. But I just wanted to give you a sense of kind of what it looks like. And this will be, once you're done customizing our center, this is what will be sent out to your donors, and then they can follow your link or mail you a check and donate to your ride. All right, so now that we've kind of gotten an overview of what we'll be covering in the webinar, I'm actually going to switch to screen share, and I'll actually kind of walk through with you what we're going to be doing. So I just want to give it 1 minute to make sure that the system can catch up with me. Let me make sure I still have my chat box, and then we are good to go. Sorry if you're getting a tunnel effect of seeing me in the screen of myself and so on. So let's see, we're going to start by clicking login on the homepage of israelride.org. You should all have a username and password that you created when you registered for the ride. If you can't remember it, you can use one of these links off to the side, or if you prefer, you can just email me, sam@israelride.org, and I can provide you your username or reset your password for you. Once you type in your credentials and you hit login, you'll be brought to the home page of the Participant Center. And there's kind of 3 navigation bars in this center. First, we have at the very top this little navigation bar up here. Yours will look a little different because you can see I'm logged in as staff. But the only button you'll really need up here is this log out button, which you can use when you're in session. After that, you'll see the second bar where you can go to the different elements of the Participant Center. And then lastly, on the right side, this is a secondary navigation bar, and this will change depending on which tab of the Participant Center you are in. So first you'll go to where you want to be, and then you can use the menus to help specify what exactly you're trying to do. So when you first log in, you'll see this list of what to do next. You can follow it if you'd like. It generally, I apologize, my phone is ringing. I apologize. So you'll see this checklist of things you should do once you get into the Participant Center for the first time. And the very first thing you'll do is setting up your personal page. So we're actually going to start on the last tab of these 4 tabs. And you can go there just by clicking personal page. And this is going to be the thing that we would advise doing for all of our riders is customizing the link and title of your page. So to do that, first thing you're going to do is go to here where it says personal page URL, and you can see that it has a very long title with a lot of code and text. And basically, if you were to send a donor this link, if they forgot what it is, there's no chance they could find it unless they find it again and copy and paste it. So to make it a little easier, I'm going to hit this blue link, URL settings. And then in this text box, I'm going to type in something that I will remember and my donors will remember. So for me, I'm just going to write Sam's shower. You could write Sam's page or Sam Israel ride or whatever works for you. Please note that it's a web address, so you can't use a space or a comma or any fancy punctuation, but you can alternate capitals to kind of make it a little easier. And lastly, make sure you keep this page as public. If you set it to private, then we will not be able to, their donors will not be able to donate to you because your name will not appear on our list. If you ever accidentally change that, we certainly will change it back, but just please keep it as public and then hit save. You should get green check confirmation that your update was made, and now a much shorter personal link. The second thing I will advise everyone to do is change the title of their personal page, very similar to customizing their personal page link. But you just select the default title that is there, and you can change it to whatever you like, something that your donors will recognize. So I'm going to call it Sam Showers Israel Ride 2016. That way they know that they're donating to me for this year and that they are at the right place. And I will hit save again just to make sure I get it. And again, I got a green check mark so I know it's saved. And lastly, there's this text box, which comes with default text. We do advise updating this, adding to it, or replacing it entirely. We put in some general information about the Israel Ride and about the organizations. But what really is most powerful to your donors is your personal reason for riding. So whether you're there to celebrate a birthday or a bar mitzvah or an anniversary, or if you haven't been to Israel in a long time, or you're there for the physical challenge of the ride, whatever it might be, the more the better, because you really want to get your point across to your potential donors, and you really want to form a personal connection with them, and you want them to feel personally invested in your ride. So again, the more personal it is, generally the better. If you are struggling again through any of this, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to you on a more one-to-one basis and figure out kind of what language makes sense for you. And so please don't hesitate to do that. I'm not going to update mine now, but I'll just save it to make sure that my customized URL and my title are in. And then last thing that we want to do on the personal page is upload a personal photo of yourself. You can do that by hitting the photo video tab on the side here and then uploading your own JPEG image and then hitting save upload. If our system can be a bit quirky at times, and uploading the photos can be, for some reason, very tricky. So if you're trying it and having trouble, just shoot me an email with the photo as an attachment, and I'll be happy to go in through our back end and upload your photo for you. Lastly, there's this components tab. If you would like to, you do have the option to hide your fundraising status or your fundraising honor roll. However, we do set those as active by default, and we do advise keeping them there so that your donors can see what progress you're making. But again, that is entirely up to you if you want them to be there or not. It's just based on if they're checked off or not. Great. So we're going to be working our way backwards kind of through this participant center. So we've showed you the personal page, and now what we're going to do is go to the progress bar. So your progress page will hopefully look a little different than mine if you've gotten in any donations. You'll see them listed down here by most recent transaction first. You'll see your graph start to pick up a nice curve as your donations come in, and you'll also see your donor honor roll and your progress fill out. Excuse me 1 second. If you are on a team, then you'll see an option for your team progress and your team page as well. I'm not going to cover that on this webinar, but if you are a team captain or a team and have any specific questions, again, I'd be more than happy to follow up with you personally. So the progress page is again where you'll see your fundraising progress, and there's a couple things that are very useful here other than just the overview that it gives you. First, this is where you can download your entire donation history. So if you want to keep track of who you followed up on, or just get a list of what donations have come in, or if you think you got a donation and you don't see it listed, whatever it might be, the first thing to do is to download your personal donation list. This will download just as a CSV document, which will open in Excel or another spreadsheet format. It's just a little more compatible than like an Excel document. But what you'll see is when you open it, I don't have any donations, but if I did, you would see the names fill out and all of the personal information that came in with the gift. If you do receive any check donations, we request that you fill them out, submit them online as offline donations before mailing us a check. And that way, when we process the donation, we can just confirm them rather than having to do all the entry manually, which can take much longer to get it applied to your account. So if you do get a check in the mail, just click to the progress tab, click enter new gift, and then you can punch in all the information here. If you do have other fields that you want available, you can show them by hitting additional gift entry fields, and then hit either add to add it or save and add another if you receive multiple checks and you want to add them all at once. Next, I'm going to move on to the email tab. If you do have any questions, again, about the first two tabs, feel free to put them into the text box in the webinar, and I will be more than happy to address them later. Excuse me. So the last tab, and really you'll probably be spending the majority of your time in, is the email tab. From here, you can send and you can compose and send templates and asks to your potential donors. The center does come with a default thank you letter template and a solicitation template already ready to go. However, the first thing we're going to do is upload our contacts. So again, if you're on the email tab and then you go to the toolbar and click contacts at the bottom, excuse me, you'll be given two options, either import all contacts or add a single contact. If you want to import your contacts from Google or Yahoo, it makes it pretty simple. You just log in and connect your account and it will automatically import them. If you're using another email system like Outlook or AOL or Apple Mail, it may be a bit more complicated. You'll have to try to export a CSV file of your contacts. If you aren't sure how to do that, just shoot me an email or give me a call and we'll schedule a time to do it together. So I'm not actually going to take you through the whole process right now. I'm just going to show you kind of what happens. It would ask me to confirm my Yahoo and log in, and then I would hit next and select my contacts, but I will not be doing that right now, but I do have a couple contacts in here just so you can see what it looks like. So once I send an email, this sent email tab will show how many emails have been sent to that email address, how many times it's been opened, and how many actual click-throughs or page visits came, and then how many donations came in from that email address. So it is very comprehensive. It also gives you the option to sort your contact list into groups. It will automatically sort for you into who has donated, who has not yet donated, who you've not yet emailed, who needs follow-up, and who has not been thanked. So all of those, again, it will automatically sort for you. But if for whatever reason you want to create your own additional groups, you can do that as well. Just select the contacts under the individuals tab and then go to add to group and create a new group. So again, I'm not going to get into too much detail about adding contacts because that's kind of a bit more complicated and a bit, it can be different for each rider. But once our contacts are in, we can begin composing and sending messages. So the first place to start is to go to the, again, the Compose tab, make sure you're on number 1, Configure, and then you can select Solicitation and check off our fundraising email general template, and then hit Next. Once you hit Next, as long as you have our template selected, in the Compose menu, you should already get a whole email that we've prepared for you, which is not quite ready to send, but it's pretty close. So we obviously want you to read through it before you send it out. And again, just like our personal page text box, it is great to customize your ask, not just to talk about your own personal reasons for writing, but you can even get more specific and segment your target donors. So let's say you have a group of coworkers, and then you also have a group of family members, and maybe you want to talk about different parts of your ride to those different target segments. Your family might feel very connected to Israel, whereas your coworkers might feel very connected to sustainability, for example. It could be anything, but that's the reason why you might want to send multiple asks to different groups. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you how to make your own custom template, how to save that template, and then reference it later. And then from there, you'll be able to create as many templates as you want, customize them, and send them out through our system. And as I've shown you, our system will basically automatically track who you sent emails to, who's opened them, who's donated, who still needs to be thanked, etc. So the first thing that I want to tell you is that the subject line is what you will need to reference when you want to pull back up a saved template. So you can see that this default subject line here does not actually show for the name of our template, but when you make your own template, that's how it will work. So we can leave our default template for now, as long as you remember that that title is the customized one. Alternatively, you could call it Sam's template. You just want to then, when you go back to it later to finally send, you want to make sure you change the subject line so it doesn't send out with the subject Sam's template. I just did edit undo just to go back. So once you read through our template, you will see that there's a couple places where you actually need to put in your own information. First one is this highlighted yellow, insert your personal link. So if you remember, that was the first step that we did on our personal page tab, was customizing our personal link. So what we'll do is click back to personal page, and what's great about the system is I can click between any of these tabs and it will save exactly what I'm doing. So I click to personal page, I can just click and drag to select this line of text and then go edit copy. And then I'll go back to my email tab, make sure I have all this yellow highlighted. I can delete and then go edit paste. and now my custom link is in my template email. You'll notice that it doesn't automatically turn it into a link the way that you'll see a zone.org or arava.org appear earlier, but once it's sent out by the system will automatically change that into a link, so you don't need to worry about the appearance of it. So my custom link is in there. Now I need to put in my address, which I will put in our office. One thing actually you'll see a lot, it's pretty tricky. It's a good thing you guys are on this webinar. If you just hit return, you'll get a paragraph space between lines of text. If you want to just go to the next line, like I'm putting an address, if you hold shift and then hit return, it'll keep it close and it won't give that paragraph space. So a little trick for you. So once I put in my address, I have in my personal link. At the bottom, you'll see that you want to put in your name and contact info. So I will just put in my cell phone number and name and maybe just my email address, even though they'll probably already have it. If I just put it there, they can click it and easily reply to me. And now I'm ready to not send it, but save it as a template. So I'm going to double check, make sure I've updated everything, reread through it. Hopefully you'll have customized some of this language as well, not just the link and the address. And then down at the bottom, you'll hit Save as Template, and you'll get another green check that your template was successfully saved. You can double check by going back to Configure, and you should see it appear under your saved templates. As I mentioned, the subject line in your email is what's going to get saved as a template. So if I were to customize this again and I wanted to save it for another group, I would either want to call it number 2, or maybe I would call it coworkers, or something I would remember it by. And again, just make sure you go back and delete that before the email is actually sent out by the system. Once you're actually ready to go, let's say I logged out and then just logged back in. I went to my email tab. I'm just gonna, if you change your template, it will put up a confirmation message. So I'm gonna say, okay, now I have a blank message. I'm gonna go into the email tab. I'm gonna find my template, hit next, make sure that it all filled in how I expected, make sure my subject line is correct, hit next, select my recipients from my email list, hit next, and then it will give you a preview. You'll notice that it flattens all the paragraph breaks together, but that will not actually be how it sends. It will send the way that you see it on the compose screen. Again, just some quirks to our system, and if you're ever confused, please just contact me. And last but not least, when you're ready, you can hit send, and you'll get a checkbox. And now if I go back to my progress tab, my email tab, and then I go to contacts, I can see here that I sent one email, and here it came in, one email to my work email address on June 28th that has not been opened yet, and they have not clicked through or donated. So that is a very brief but in-depth overview of our fundraising system. I specifically wanted to leave a lot of time today for you guys to be able to ask questions. I'm going to just log out quickly and then get back to our presentation. Great. So hopefully that was not too overwhelming. It looks like we have one question that came in from David. It looks like he mentioned that occasionally some of the emails sent from our system can be marked as spam to our recipients. I actually was not aware of that issue, so I'm definitely going to follow up with you directly about that. It might be, depending on what email service your recipients are using, they might have higher levels of security, and so they might be a little smarter at fishing out mass emails or emails that are sent through a system other than a personal email. Beyond that, did you guys have any questions? It looks like we only have about 5 people left on the call. But again, I don't know if any other questions came in, but I don't see them. What I would advise again is reference your Ride handbook. Please take down my information if you don't have it already on the screen in front of you. If you're struggling with templates or what to ask or how to ask or anything like that, please reach out to me. In our next webinar, we actually will getting a bit more in depth about strategies for asking and also how to segment out potential major donors who maybe aren't going to be donating 18 or 20 or $50 but could potentially be donating 100 or 200, 500 dollars to your ride, which obviously makes the fundraising process go a lot quicker if you can lock in a couple major donors. It looks like we do have a question from Alan Schwartz. You certainly can personalize emails to different groups of contacts. Basically, the process I used for creating a template, just do that for each email that you want to send or each kind of target group that you have. And then once the email is prepared and all your contacts are in the system, you can just, when you hit next and you're going to select the contact who it's sending to, just select the group you want to send to, check them off, and it will send to all them. And then you go back and you hit your other template that you prepared for another segment, select that group, and then send it off. So I hope that answered your question, Alan. Let me know. So it looks like we have another question about approaching a potential major donor. Like I said, I don't want to get into that too much detail at the moment because we will be talking a lot more about that on our next webinar. You can definitely check our rider handbook. I would advise looking at page 22 and 23 as a good place to start, where we talk about who to ask and how to ask. That's a lot of what we'll be covering. But I can give you my general advice, which is if you do have a major donor, I wouldn't send them just a generic email through the system. I would send them a handwritten letter, or even pick up the phone and give them a call and maybe schedule time to get coffee or sit down with them even in person. And then have a bit more personal conversation with them about why you're riding and why the ride is important to you and why these organizations are important. And specifically go in with a number. So, and that's always a good rule of thumb, is to have an idea of how much you want to be asking for. So with let's say if your goal is $3,600, you can reach that with, let's say, 20 donations of $180, or you can reach that with 10 donations of $360, or 200 donations of $18. So if you can get kind of break down your list into which one of those under, then you can prepare different letters to each one of those segments asking for a different amount. And that way you're kind of giving people a guideline where they don't feel like they need to give you that much. It's more a suggestion, and more often than not, as long as you're kind of thinking critically about who you're segmenting into which group, they'll give the amount that you're asking, if not more. So again, Alan, I hope that kind of answers your question, but again, I don't want to get into it too much because we will be talking about that on our next call as well, or webinar, excuse me. So we do have some time left. I might have tried to cut it a little too short for you guys, but I will give a few more minutes to see if we have any other questions come in. So it looks like Alan is asking about your donating to your ride, which is certainly an option. All self-funded donations are still qualify for tax receipt. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. It looks like you asked, does this amount get included in the list of donors? Oh, so on your fundraising honor roll, when a donation comes in, each donor chooses if they would like it to be anonymous by name and or anonymous by amount. So if you're donating to your own ride, you can actually select whether or not you want that donation to show on your page, if you want it to show that you self-cover. One thing I often advise to people who will definitely be covering a portion of their own ride, and even if they know they're going to be covering the full amount or willing to cover the full amount, is to start by giving yourself like a 50% donation to your goal. And then you can start asking, and when your donors go to your page or you've already supported yourself, they'll be a lot more encouraged to support you because they'll know that not only is this experience important to you, but the organization behind the experience is also something that you support. And even for those of you that aren't in the position where they can put in a 50% contribution, even if it's an $8 donation to your own ride, it's the same message. So definitely self-funding is another good strategy of a way to just kind of show your donors how important this is to you. And hopefully, Alan, that answered part of or all of your question. But please let me know if you have any more. Okay, great. So again, we still have some time. I'm more than happy to wait if we have any other questions that come in. Also, please follow up with me or Jesse personally if you do have any more specific questions that, relevant to your own ride or your own situation. So, Ellen, I think this might be something that we can talk about off the webinar. Specific person to person, beginning to self. General, I think that it is good for your donors to see that you are supporting, this organization and supporting yourself as well. It's not just it's that you're also invested in. I don't think it ever hurts to show your own donation. In terms of creating a group of contacts, basically, let me. Actually, I don't think so. You're going to import all your contacts into the system. Once they're all in the system, you can easily sort through them the way you do in your normal email, but just by typing in someone's first name or the start of their email address, and then it will filter out everyone else but the person that who you search for. And so once your emails are in your system, you can kind of check off everyone that you want to sort into a separate group. And then once this webinar is uploaded, you can go back and reference that part of the webinar. And if you're still not sure, just feel free to give me a call or email me, and I'll go through your contacts with you. Okay, just a couple more minutes and see if there's any other questions that come in. All your time, so if I can give you why not? Thank you all for coming again. This was the second of 5 webinars that we have leading up to the 2016 Israel Guide, which is November 8th to November 15th this year. I am very excited to meet you all. Thank you for joining us, and please let me know if you do have any questions or concerns. Have a good day.